All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Ready to unlock some career secrets?
Always ready.
Today's deep dive, workplace etiquette.
Ooh, sounds a little dry.
Yeah, but hold on. We're going way deeper than just remembering to say please and thank you.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We're going to be using a YouTube video from the Consultant channel as our guide. It's called How to Master Workplace Etiquette Tips to Boost Your Career.
I've seen that one. It's really good.
This is about actionable strategies, things you can use to really stand out and advance in any field.
So not just for stuffy corporate types.
Nope, this is for everyone.
Ah,
Because one thing the video makes clear is that etiquette isn't about these old-fashioned rules. It's about building a powerful personal brand.
I like that. It's about how you present yourself, the impression you make.
Exactly. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it.
Right, you could have amazing ideas, but if you can't communicate them or work well with others, those ideas go nowhere.
The video actually starts by defining workplace etiquette as a standard that controls social behavior expectations.
So it's pretty broad, from how you dress to how you behave in meetings to how you use technology.
And what I found really interesting is that the video emphasizes the unwritten rules, those subtle things that can really make or break you.
Those can be tough to figure out, especially in a new job or a new industry.
It's almost like a secret code you have to crack.
But the video does a good job of breaking it down, and it all starts with professionalism. That's the foundation.
Absolutely. Showing up on time, meeting deadlines, doing good work. Those are kind of the basics.
Right, the table stakes. But it goes beyond that. The video really emphasizes attitude.
Yeah, they ask this great question, am I leaving a positive impression that people will remember?
That's about more than just completing your tasks. It's about the energy you bring.
Right. The integrity, the follow-through.
It's thinking long term.
Hmm.
Every interaction, even a quick email, contributes to the image you're building.
So how you treat people matters, even in the smallest interactions.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the video's next big point, respect.
And they're clear that respect is non-negotiable in every single interaction.
Not just with your boss either, with everyone. Colleagues, clients, even the receptionist.
And the video makes a really interesting distinction. They say, treat people how you want to be treated, but more than that, treat people with the respect they deserve.
I like that. It's subtle but important.
Because true respect goes beyond just being polite. It's about recognizing each person's worth.
Regardless of their title or their background.
And they connect that to leadership, right?
Yes. The video says the best leaders consistently show respect.
Because think about it, respect builds trust. It makes people want to collaborate. It motivates them.
It creates this positive cycle in the whole team.
I love the way the video puts it. Respect is the currency of a great consultant.
It's such a good analogy. And it applies whether you're a consultant or not.
It's how you build influence. It's how you have a positive impact.
Without it, you're always fighting an uphill battle.
Now, the video also tackles some tough topics. It takes a very strong stance against harassment.
And rightfully so. The message is clear. Harassment of any kind is unacceptable.
And it emphasizes that we all have a role to play in creating a safe and inclusive workplace.
That's right. It's not just up to HR or management.
There's this powerful quote from the video, see something wrong, speak up.
Mm-hmm.
That really hit me. But it also made me think, how do you balance that with, not overstepping or getting involved where you shouldn't be?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's where those unwritten rules can be so tricky.
Right. Because sometimes it is really hard to know what to do.
I think the key is remembering that creating a safe environment is everyone's responsibility.
So we all need to be looking out for each other.
Exactly. Sometimes speaking up can be as simple as offering support to someone who's being targeted, or just letting a manager know what's going on.
So it's about finding a way to act without making the situation worse.
Yeah. Sometimes even small actions can make a big difference. And that goes hand in hand with the video's focus on diversity and inclusion.
But it goes beyond the buzzwords.
Absolutely. The video frames diversity and inclusion as essential for success.
How so?
Well, just think about it. A team with a wider range of perspectives, experiences, backgrounds.
It's going to be better at solving problems.
Right. Exactly. And coming up with more creative solutions.
It's like having a diverse toolkit. You're ready for anything.
That's a great way to put it. And the video connects this to your own career advancement.
Meaning,
Inclusive environments benefit everyone, not just the people who might be, traditionally underrepresented.
The video uses this great line, build bridges, not walls.
It's so true. It's about seeing value in different viewpoints and working together towards shared goals.
Now, another topic the video tackles head-on is gender equality
It's all about treating everyone with respect, regardless of gender.
and creating a level playing field where everyone has the opportunity to succeed based on their merits.
Right. But in reality, don't those unwritten rules we talked about earlier, don't they sometimes favor certain groups over others?
That's a good point. And it's something we need to be aware of.
Absolutely. And that's why being conscious of those subtle biases, both our own and the ones that exist in our workplaces, is so important.
So how do we counter those biases?
Sometimes it's about speaking up for others. You know, when you see someone being overlooked or their contributions are minimized.
It's about being an advocate.
Yes, and sometimes it's about checking our own assumptions and making sure we're evaluating people fairly based on their skills and what they bring to the table.
So it's about being intentional.
Exactly. And that intentionality is key when it comes to speaking out against racial discrimination.
The video makes it very clear. Racial discrimination is simply unacceptable. But it also raises the question, how do we speak up effectively without making things worse?
It's a hard question, I think, and there's no easy answer.
Because every situation is different.
Right. But what the video encourages us to do is think about the kind of workplace we want to be part of. What are your values? What kind of culture do you want to contribute to?
It's about aligning your actions with your values.
Exactly. Sometimes that might mean having those difficult conversations, calling out inappropriate jokes, things like that. Other times it might mean just being a visible ally, supporting colleagues who are facing discrimination.
So it's about finding ways to make a difference, even in small ways.
Absolutely. And those small actions over time can create real change.
We've covered a lot of ground already, from professionalism and respect to diversity and inclusion.
It feels like we're just getting started.
It does. And the video goes even deeper, exploring things like ethics, integrity, confidentiality. But I think that's a great place to pause for now.
I agree. We've given everyone a lot to think about.
So make sure you come back for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll get into even more of these strategies for building a powerful personal brand and really taking your career to the next level. It's funny, sometimes I think we get so caught up in what we're doing at work that we forget about the how.
The how.
Yeah, how we're communicating with our team, with our clients.
Oh, right. That's huge.
I mean, you could have the most brilliant strategy in the world, the most amazing product, but if you can't communicate it effectively,
It's going nowhere.
it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's something the video really emphasizes, the idea that communication, effective communication, it's the bridge.
Between having good ideas and actually getting results.
Exactly. So how do we do that? Where do we even begin?
Well, the video starts with the basics, being clear and concise.
Sounds simple enough.
Right. But I think we've all been on the receiving end of those emails or presentations where you're just like, what?
Totally.
Yeah.
More confused after than before.
Exactly. It's so easy to slip into jargon or overly complicated language.
Especially when you're, deep in a project, you're in the weeds.
Right. But the video reminds us to step back and think about our audience. What do they need to know?
And what's the simplest way to explain it?
Yeah. It's about being respectful of their time, their energy.
It's about clarity.
Absolutely. And that leads into another point the video makes, which is active listening.
Yes. Active listening. The lost art.
It's so true, though. It's more than just, hearing the words.
So much more.
It's about paying attention to all those nonverbal cues.
Body language, the facial expressions.
Exactly. And asking clarifying questions to make sure you really understand the other person's perspective.
It seems like so much miscommunication happens because people are just waiting for their turn to talk.
Instead of really listening. I see that all the time.
Right. But the video makes the point that when you actively listen,
It not only helps avoid misunderstandings, but it builds trust and rapport.
it makes people feel heard.
Exactly. And that's so powerful. Now, speaking of cues, the video also talks about nonverbal communication.
Yes. Body language, all that good stuff.
Right. Things like eye contact, facial expressions, posture. They can speak volumes.
Actions speak louder than words. Isn't that how the saying goes?
Exactly. And being aware of our nonverbals is just as important as choosing the right words.
Are we making eye contact? Are we fidgeting? Are we slouching?
It all affects how our message is received. We need to make sure our nonverbals are aligned with our words.
It's about being authentic.
Exactly. And the video also points out that the way we communicate should change depending on the situation.
Oh, for sure. You wouldn't talk to your boss the same way you talk to, your best friend at work.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable, reading the room.
But how do you find that balance,
hmm
between being too formal and too casual?
That's a great question. I think it comes down to experience and also developing your emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. I hear that term a lot, but I'm not always sure what it really means.
It's basically the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and to be sensitive to the emotions of others.
So being self-aware, empathetic.
Exactly. Leaders with high EQ, they're better at building relationships, at resolving conflict, at motivating their teams,
Because they can pick up on those subtle cues, those unspoken things that are going on.
and adjust their communication accordingly. It's a really valuable skill to develop.
Absolutely. Now, another topic the video covers is giving and receiving feedback.
Feedback. Everyone's favorite.
I know, right? But it's so important, but it can be so tricky to navigate.
It can be. But the video stresses that giving feedback effectively is about focusing on behaviors and outcomes, not making it personal.
It's not about attacking someone's character.
Right. It's about giving concrete suggestions for improvement, not just pointing out what they did wrong.
And when you're on the receiving end, it's about trying to be open, even if it stings a little.
Feedback, even when it's critical, is usually coming from a good place.
It's meant to help you grow, right?
Exactly. See it as an opportunity to learn, not a judgment of your worth.
And that actually ties into another point the video makes about conflict resolution.
Because let's face it, conflict happens.
In every workplace, in every relationship, probably.
It's inevitable. But what the video emphasizes is approaching conflict with a calm and respectful attitude.
Easier said than done sometimes.
For sure. But the key is to avoid those personal attacks.
Don't make it about winning or losing.
Right. It's about finding a solution that works for everyone.
You're all on the same team at the end of the day.
Exactly. Now, another important thing the video talks about is setting boundaries.
Boundaries are so crucial, especially these days when we're all so connected.
It's about being clear about our availability, setting expectations for response times, and respecting the boundaries of others.
So it's okay to say, hey, I'm not available after 6 p.m. Or I need 24 hours to get back to you on this.
Absolutely. And it's also about respecting the boundaries that other people set.
Don't expect people to answer emails at midnight or be available on the weekends.
Exactly. Healthy boundaries help us avoid burnout and maintain that work-life balance.
Speaking of technology, the video doesn't shy away from talking about how it's impacting our communication.
Right. We're constantly bombarded with emails, instant messages, video calls.
It can be overwhelming.
It can. It's easy to miss things or to misinterpret the tone of a message.
The video really encourages us to use technology thoughtfully. Choose the right channel for each message. Be mindful of our tone in written communication.
No more angry emails in all caps.
Probably a good rule of thumb. But I also think there's something to be said for video calls,
Mhm.
especially for those of us who work remotely.
Absolutely. It's a great way to build rapport and connection.
Mm.
It's all about finding the right balance.
Between efficiency and that personal touch.
It's interesting. Thinking about everything we've discussed today, it really goes beyond just workplace etiquette. It's about building relationships, creating a positive work environment.
It's about using these skills to stand out, to become a leader.
That's a perfect segue into part 3, where we'll delve deeper into how these principles can actually position you as a leader.
All right, so we've talked about the foundation of workplace etiquette, things like professionalism, respect, diversity, communication.
Building blocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious about this idea that mastering these principles can actually make you a better leader.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea, isn't it? We usually think of etiquette as being about, fitting in, following the rules.
Not rocking the boat.
Right. But this video, it turns that idea on its head.
So how does it make that connection? How does etiquette equal leadership?
Well, for one thing, it's about setting the tone.
Meaning?
Leaders who consistently model respectful, inclusive behavior, they create a culture where everyone feels valued.
It's about actions speaking louder than words.
Exactly. People notice what you do more than what you say. When they see you treating everyone with respect, it sets a standard.
It raises the bar for the whole team.
And it goes beyond just setting an example. Leaders who've mastered these principles, they're better at building relationships.
They can inspire their teams.
Yes, because they create that environment where everyone feels safe to contribute, to take risks.
Psychological safety. I hear that term a lot.
It's so important. It's about feeling comfortable sharing your ideas, knowing that you won't be judged or punished for making a mistake.
And the video really stresses that strong communication is at the heart of all this.
Absolutely. Leaders who can clearly articulate their vision, who listen to their team.
Who give good feedback?
Yes, they're the ones who build trust and get people moving in the same direction.
Creating that shared purpose.
Exactly. Now, there's another piece to this leadership puzzle that the video talks about, which is emotional intelligence, or EQ.
EQ. I've always struggled with that one.
It can be a little fuzzy, I know, but basically it's the ability to be aware of and manage your own emotions and also to be sensitive to the emotions of others.
So being self-aware and empathetic.
You got it. And leaders with high EQ, they're the ones who can build rapport easily, manage conflict effectively, motivate their teams,
Because they can sense what's going on with the people around them.
and respond appropriately. They're more in tune with those unspoken dynamics.
And how does that connect back to etiquette?
Well, think about it. So much of etiquette is about reading those social cues, understanding the unspoken rules,
Picking up on those subtle signals.
and adjusting your behavior accordingly. Those are all hallmarks of emotional intelligence.
Interesting. So etiquette is almost like training for developing your EQ.
In a way, yes. And those skills are so valuable for leaders who are constantly navigating these complex relationships.
Making decisions that affect their whole team.
Now, another thing the video talks about is leading by example when it comes to diversity and inclusion.
Right. It's not enough to just talk about it. You have to actually do it.
Leaders need to be intentional about creating opportunities for people from different backgrounds to contribute and advance.
Make sure that everyone has a voice at the table.
Exactly. Creating a culture where everyone feels valued and respected, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Now, the video also talks about ethical decision-making being really important for leaders.
That's huge. Because leaders, they set the tone for the whole organization.
So it's about more than just avoiding illegal or unethical behavior. It's about consistently making the right choice,
Even when it's hard.
even when it's unpopular.
Exactly. It's about doing what's right, even when it would be easier to look the other way. And that kind of integrity, it inspires trust and respect.
It builds a culture of doing the right thing.
Right. Which ultimately benefits everyone.
Now, along with ethical decision-making, the video also stresses the importance of accountability for leaders.
Being accountable for their actions.
So their decisions,
Yes. And that means owning up to mistakes.
not blaming others.
Right. And using those mistakes as learning opportunities
It's about creating a culture of transparency and responsibility.
where everyone is held to a high standard. You know, this whole conversation has really shifted my perspective on workplace etiquette.
Mine too. It's not just about fitting in.
It's about using these principles to stand out as a leader, to create a positive and productive work environment.
And to really elevate your whole career.
I love the way this video reframes etiquette. It's not about being stuffy or old-fashioned.
It's about being strategic and intentional.
And using these simple but powerful principles to achieve your goals.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I think we've all learned a lot about how to navigate the workplace with more confidence and grace.
And how to use these skills to become more effective leaders.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. How can you take these principles beyond the workplace?
Oh, that's a good one. How can you apply them to your relationships, your community, your life in general? Respect, communication, inclusion, these are valuable everywhere, not just at work.
That's a great point. So much to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of workplace etiquette.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights that will help you not just survive, but thrive in your career and beyond.
Until next time.
Keep diving deeper.